Stores Americans grew up with are vanishing right in front of us, not because people suddenly stopped shopping, but because the retail game has turned into survival of the fastest, cheapest, and smartest. One minute a chain looks stable, the next minute it is quietly trimming locations like a tree in a windstorm and hoping nobody notices until the store closing signs are already taped to the windows. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a retail shakeup that feels a lot bigger than a few empty storefronts at the mall. This is about changing shopping habits, rising operating costs, weaker foot traffic, online competition, corporate debt, and a consumer economy that can smile on the outside while sweating through its shirt underneath. In other words, our retail in America right now is trying to look calm while the floorboards creak. And here is what makes this story so interesting. Some of the names on this countdown are not tiny, struggling brands nobody remembers. We are talking about major chains that once looked too big, too familiar, and too deeply woven into everyday American life to ever seem vulnerable. But in 2026, familiarity is no longer protection. Nostalgia does not pay rent, loyalty does not lower labor costs, and a recognizable logo cannot magically rescue a bad location. Harsh? Yes. True? Also yes. What makes this countdown even more revealing is that these closures are not all happening for the exact same reason. Some companies are shrinking to survive, some are restructuring under pressure, some are reacting to changing consumer behavior, and some, frankly, are learning the hard way that opening stores is a lot easier than making people keep coming back. It is like setting up a fancy buffet and then realizing everyone already ordered delivery. So stay with me because as we count down from 10 to 1, you will see how deep this retail reset really goes, which familiar names are pulling back, and why the biggest surprise on this list says more about the future of shopping in America than most people realize. If you enjoy finance, business, and trend breakdowns that actually explain what is going on beneath the headlines, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into the countdown. Number 10. Advance Auto Parts. When your car parts store needs a tune-up, Advance Auto Parts used to feel like one of those quietly reliable stops in American life. You don't think about it much until your check engine light turns your dashboard into a Christmas tree. But lately, the company itself has been the one flashing warning lights. After weak earnings and slowing demand, Advance announced plans to shut down more than 700 locations across the U.S., including hundreds of corporate stores and independent locations. Total retail plus one. So what went wrong? Part of the story is classic retail apocalypse. More people are shopping online for parts, price comparing in seconds, and getting next-day delivery without leaving the driveway. Competitors tightened operations and doubled down on e-commerce while Advance lagged behind. Add higher labor, rent, and supply chain costs, and suddenly those once profitable stores start looking like expensive display rooms instead of moneymakers. Then there's the car market itself. Vehicles are more complex, parts are pricier, and many drivers are delaying repairs because their budgets are already under pressure from housing, groceries, and debt. That means fewer impulse trips for just one more thing, and more people stretching the life of everything from wiper blades to brake pads. Not exactly a recipe for booming auto parts sales. For communities, these closures feel bigger than just a store. When a local Advance Auto Parts shuts down, you're not only losing a retail option, you're losing jobs, local sponsorships, and a convenient place to grab that emergency battery or replacement bulb. In smaller towns, the next nearest option might be miles away, which turns a simple DIY repair into a full afternoon project. From a personal finance angle, this is also a quiet warning. The businesses closing around you are economic signals. If a national chain with thousands of stores can get crushed by thin margins, rising costs, and shifting customer behavior, what does that say about smaller businesses or your own job security? The message is simple. Don't build your financial life on the assumption that any company or any paycheck is guaranteed forever. Advance Auto Parts isn't disappearing completely, but it is shrinking, regrouping, and trying to survive in a tougher, leaner retail world. For drivers, it's a reminder to maintain not just your car, but your money, diversify your income, keep an emergency fund, And pay attention when big brands start closing doors. By the time the check engine light shows up in your finances, the problem has usually been building for a while. And if you're an investor, this is a live case study in what happens when a brand ignores shifting habits for too long. Strategy, not size, is what keeps companies alive. The same is true for your wallet. It's not just how much you earn, it's how quickly you adapt when the road beneath you starts to change. Office Depot, when the paper trail runs out. Office Depot used to be the go-to stop for anyone who owned a printer, a planner, or a panic-ordered pack of presentation folders. Now the aisles are getting quieter. After years of declining demand for traditional office supplies and the rise of remote work and digital workflows, the chain has been steadily shrinking its store footprint. 2025 is just the next chapter in that long downsizing story, with more locations closing as the company tries to cut costs and stay relevant in a world where paperless is no longer a buzzword, it's a default. Live now. For retirees and everyday shoppers, these closures aren't just an inconvenience. That neighborhood store was where people printed resumes, grabbed last-minute school supplies, or replaced a fried laptop charger without waiting 2 days for shipping. Losing it means more driving, fewer local options, and higher pressure on whatever big-box stores are left. The deeper problem? Office Depot is stuck between worlds. Businesses now order in bulk online while casual shoppers grab basics from Amazon, Target, or Walmart. That leaves Office Depot paying big retail rents for a shrinking slice of demand. Closing stores is the corporate version of cleaning out your email inbox, necessary but a sign you let things pile up for too long. For communities, each closure means job losses, fewer local tax dollars, and another dark storefront in a strip mall that already looks tired. For shoppers, it's one more reminder that retail is consolidating around a few mega players, and if you don't like their prices or service, your choices are limited. Number 8. CVS, when your corner pharmacy starts disappearing. CVS isn't vanishing, but it is quietly pulling back. The company is in the middle of a multi-year plan to close hundreds of locations and streamline its footprint. Around 270 stores are slated to shut in 2025 alone, as CVS tries to cut unprofitable locations and focus on higher traffic stores, healthcare hubs, and digital services. Crosstalk insights. From the corporate view, it's optimization. From the customer side, it feels like the pharmacy that's always been on the way home just stops being there. Fewer stores means fewer options for picking up prescriptions, grabbing over-the-counter meds, or quickly filling a last-minute need like a thermometer or blood pressure cuff. CVS is betting heavily on being more than a pharmacy. Clinics, health hubs, and insurance tie-ins are where they see the future. But that shift comes with growing pains. Closures hit hardest in neighborhoods where there aren't many alternatives, turning what used to be a 5-minute walk into a 25-minute drive. When a CVS closes, it doesn't just affect prescriptions. People lose a familiar place for seasonal flu shots, quick health checks, and basic toiletries. For older adults or people without cars, that's a genuine lifestyle downgrade. Number 7. Walgreens, a giant. Turning off the lights. Walgreens is even deeper into the shrink-to-survive strategy. The chain has announced plans to close roughly 1,200 stores by 2027, with about 500 of those closures expected within a single-year window, including 2025. This isn't just a minor trim, it's surgery. Walgreens is dealing with rising wages, thinning prescription margins, and more people getting their meds delivered instead of walking into a store. Closing locations cuts costs, but it also cuts access. For regular shoppers, especially retirees and low-income households, Walgreens often doubles as pharmacy, mini-grocery, and convenience store. When that store closes, the impact is bigger than find another pharmacy. It can mean longer drives for essential medications, fewer places to grab quick groceries, and another empty building on a main road that already looks hollowed out. There's also a psychological hit. When a giant like Walgreens is boarding up locations, it sends a message. This area isn't profitable enough. That's not exactly encouraging for people trying to retire or raise families nearby. Number 6, Dollar General and Pop Shelf, when even discount stores tap out. When discount chains start closing stores, you know pressure is real. Dollar General, along with its sister concept Pop Shelf, decided to shut around 141 locations in 2025, 96 Dollar General stores and 45 Pop Shelf locations, while still opening others. On a spreadsheet, that's portfolio optimization. On the ground, it's one less low-cost option in towns where these stores are often the only cheap place to buy basics. For a lot of rural and low-income areas, Dollar General is the grocery store, the household item store, and the quick stop shop all rolled into one. Losing it means higher prices somewhere else, if there is somewhere else. These closures highlight a bigger truth. Even discount retailers can overexpand. Packing multiple locations into the same area works until inflation, theft, and slower traffic force hard choices. Then the weakest locations go dark. For shoppers, especially those already counting every dollar, it feels like the safety net is being quietly rolled up. The message is simple. When margins get tight, convenience for struggling communities is negotiable. Number 5, Kohl's, department store in tight shoes. Kohl's sits in the uncomfortable middle of retail, not as upscale as high-end department stores, not as cheap as discounters. That middle lane is getting squeezed, and you can see it in the closures. By April 2025, Kohl's had already shut 27 underperforming stores across 15 states, part of a broader plan to trim weaker locations and focus on higher-performing ones. For decades, Kohl's was the place where you could buy dress shirts, kids' clothes, towels, and an air fryer in the same trip, and with a coupon so confusing you felt like you cracked a code. But slowing sales, rising costs, and a brutal competitive landscape have turned that model into a balancing act. When a local Kohl's disappears, shoppers lose a one-stop apparel and home store, and nearby malls lose a key anchor. That affects surrounding businesses too. Fewer people wandering through means fewer customers for the smaller shops. Kohl's isn't collapsing, it's pruning. But pruning still hurts if your neighborhood branch is one of the branches being cut. Number 4, Macy's, the icon on clearance. Macy's closures feel personal because this brand has been part of American retail mythology for generations. Yet behind the holiday parades and iconic window displays, the math has turned cold. Macy's plans to close about 150 underproductive stores by the end of 2026, and by early 2025 it had already named 66 locations on the chopping block. The strategy is clear: shut weaker stores, double down on roughly 350 stronger ones, and pump more money into e-commerce and smaller, more nimble formats. In theory, it's smart. In practice, it means a lot of malls lose their main attraction. A Macy's closure often feels like the moment a mall officially starts dying. Foot traffic drops, small retailers struggle, and suddenly that whole shopping center looks like a relic. For local workers, it's not just the loss of jobs, it's the loss of holiday seasons, traditions, and a place people casually browsed on weekends. For retirees and families trying to stretch a budget, fewer department stores also means fewer chances to compare prices in person, feel fabrics, or chase real in-store bargains. You can scroll online, but it's not quite the same when the sale sign isn't glowing over your head. Number 3, Kroger, grocery giant. Making surgical cuts. When a grocery giant like Kroger starts closing stores, communities pay attention. Kroger announced it would shut around 60 underperforming stores over an 18-month period, even as it plans to open about 30 new ones with upgraded formats. This isn't a bankruptcy story, it's a chess move. Kroger is trimming low-productivity locations and redirecting capital to remodels, bigger market stores, and better e-commerce and pickup setups. That's great for investors and for shoppers near the new stores, not so great if your neighborhood ends up on the close list. A grocery store isn't just a shop, it's infrastructure. It affects food access, health, and property values. When a Kroger leaves, prices at remaining stores can creep up, food deserts can expand, and people on fixed incomes burn more gas just to get fresh produce. The tough part is that these closures usually happen in lower margin areas, the places that can least afford losing them. And while the brand talks about modernization, many shoppers just see an empty parking lot where their weekly routine used to be. Number 2, Big Lots, the discount chain in free fall. Big Lots used to be the treasure hunt discount store, weird snacks, off-brand furniture, and last season everything at deep markdowns. But by late 2024, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and announced plans to liquidate and close all remaining stores before later striking a deal that may keep 200 to 400 locations alive under new ownership while the rest shut down. In other words, most Big Lots stores are not just closing temporarily, they're disappearing. For bargain hunters and budget-stretched families, this stings. Big Lots help people furnish entire apartments and stock pantries without paying full retail. The collapse of a chain like this isn't just about mismanagement. It reflects how brutally competitive discount retail has become. Dollar stores, warehouse clubs, Amazon, and even Walmart all moved aggressively into the cheap but decent lane. Big Lots ended up stuck, not quite essential, not quite unique. For communities, these closures mean massive empty boxes in shopping plazas and more workers suddenly looking for jobs in already squeezed local economies. For shoppers, it's one less place where a tight budget could still stretch surprisingly far. Number 1, Party City, when the party packs up for good. At the top of the list is a retailer that, ironically, made its name selling celebrations. In late 2024, Party City announced it would close all of its corporate-owned U.S. stores by February 28, 2025, auctioning off leases for nearly 700 locations across 45 states. Some franchised and Canadian stores will stay, but for most Americans, the Party store on the corner is gone. This hits differently. Party City was part of the life event pipeline: birthdays, graduations, weddings, baby showers, school events. If life had a milestone, there was probably a balloon arch and a last-minute run to Party City involved. The company was squeezed from all sides: rising costs, online competition, and the harsh reality that many families are cutting back on big celebrations when groceries and rent already feel like luxury items. You can't swipe confetti over the fact that inflation makes people think twice about $60 balloon arrangements. When a Party City closes, the impact isn't just economic, it's emotional. Communities lose a place that supplied joy on demand, and as those storefronts go dark, it becomes one more visible reminder that even fun isn't safe from the spreadsheet. We are down to number 1 through the countdown. If this list taught us anything, it's that store closures aren't random. They're signals. Signals about shifting consumer habits, rising costs, and companies struggling to adapt. But there are also warnings for regular people. Jobs disappear, local options shrink, and certain neighborhoods get left behind faster than others. If this breakdown helped you see retail and your own community a little differently, thank you for watching. Before you go, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who keeps saying, "Retail is fine, everything's normal." More videos are coming to help you understand where the economy is really heading, so you can protect your wallet, your career, and your future, instead of being blindsided by the next store closing sign.